Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are answering one of the biggest questions people are asking. Is it better to buy or rent in 2025? We're breaking down the latest data, tax advantages, the hidden expenses most people miss, and some creative ways you can make owning work, like ADUs, garage conversions, renting out rooms, and even multifamily strategies. I put together some different studies to go over and show the pros and cons versus renting and owning. Let's dive in. First, we'll take a look at national numbers. According to Bankrate's 2025 Rent versus Affordability study, the average monthly mortgage payment in the United States, which includes principal, interest, property taxes, and homeowners insurance, was about $2,768, while the average rent came in around $2,000 per month. That means owning costs roughly 38% more a month than renting across the 50 largest U.S. metros, according to Bankrate. Looking at Bankrate's data across all 50 states, in 50 of the largest U.S. metros, renting is still cheaper than buying on a monthly cost basis right now. That includes homes of all sizes, single-family, townhomes, multifamily, comparing similarly priced properties, according to Bankrate. Taking a look at a different study by Smart Assets nationwide study, it highlights similar trends. In many large cities like Los Angeles and Oakland, homeowners pay significantly more per month than renters when you count mortgages, insurance, taxes, utilities, and maintenance. Taking a look at Bankrate's study that they conducted, here it shows renting is much more affordable in West Coast metros. If you take a look, San Francisco, San Jose, Seattle, Denver, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, Austin, Portland, San Diego, and Dallas, renting is significantly cheaper and more affordable in the West Coast. Why is renting often cheaper than buying a home right now? Here are a few key reasons renting is often cheaper in 2025. There's higher mortgage rates. Even though they've eased slightly from recent peaks, rates are still well above the super low 3% era, making mortgage payments more expensive. Home prices still remain high. The median existing home price nationally is roughly $435,000 as of mid-2025. And monthly ownership cost does add up. You're not just paying for a mortgage, you're also paying for taxes, insurance, maintenance, things that renters are usually not paying. And there's a growing renter inventory. More rental units have come online in 2025, which gives renters choice to keep inflation slower than housing payment increases. Taking a look at another study, it talks about renting isn't cheaper either. According to Harvard's Joint Center for Housing, this points to a bigger issue. Often, renters can't save enough for a down payment because rent eats up so much of their monthly budget. There is a long-term wealth case to buying. Even though renting is cheaper month to month, right now, long-term ownership still tends to build wealth in ways that renting can't. When you pay a mortgage each month, a portion of every payment builds equity. That's like a forced savings account. Over decades, that can significantly increase your net worth. Non-owners simply can't accumulate equity. They pay rent and that money is gone, without building ownership. In the long run, many studies show that homeowners historically have had a higher net worth than renters, often by multiples. Taking a look at a study done by Investopedia, it shows 65% of renters can't afford basic living cost after paying this, and here's why. Here it shows almost 2/3 or 65% of working age renters struggle to afford basic expenses after paying rent. So what's driving this crisis? Here it's showing that on average, $18,230 a year is paid in rent and $57,000 other necessities such as transportation, taxes, healthcare, food, and childcare. Combined, that's comfortably above the nation's median annual salary of $62,000. Who is being hit the hardest? The most affected are single-income households on low salaries, particularly those raising children alone who have health issues. According to the study, households less then about $45,000 a year are their most vulnerable. When is renting better? Renting can absolutely make sense, especially if you plan to move in a few years, you want flexibility without having to sell a house, you want to invest cash elsewhere like the stock market, or you don't want the responsibility of maintenance. Some experts are saying the traditional break-even rule, like buy if you'll stay for 3 to 5 years, is now outdated. In high-cost cities like New York and San Francisco, you may need to stay for 7 to 9 years or even 15 to 20 years before buying financially outperforms renting. When is buying better? Buying may be better when you want stability and control over your home, you are ready to stay long-term, you want to build up equity, you can lock in a fixed-rate mortgage, hedge against rent increases, and you plan to leverage tax advantages over time. Homeowners may be able to deduct mortgage interest and possibly take advantage of capital gains exclusions when selling. Next, we'll take a look at advanced homeownership strategies such as adding an ADU to your property, a garage conversion, or even buying a multifamily property to allow you to offset some of your mortgage payment by other people's rents. Now, here's where owning gets creative and powerful. If you want to own but offset your cost, here are some ways about doing that in 2025. So adding an ADU to your property. ADUs are also called a granny flat or a backyard cottage. They can provide a rental income. In California, an important law, AB 1033, allows cities to let ADUs be sold off separately as condominiums, but only if the city opts in and passes an ordinance. San Jose was the first city to do this. Even without a separate sale, an ADU can still generate monthly income that offsets your mortgage, according to the California HCD. ADUs are often lower cost to build than a multifamily project and provide flexibility to house family members or renters. Here are a couple of cost examples of building an ADU. A garage conversion in Los Angeles is roughly about $175,000 to $240,000. A detached backyard ADU is roughly around $260,000 to $390,000. A two-story ADU is roughly around $340,000 to $500,000. Each law is a little different, and permits, all of that takes into account, so it may be a little different. With garage conversions or room rentals, you can convert garages into extra rooms, into extra rent-producing spaces to help you pay for your mortgage. This is a lower-cost way to generate income without building a full ADU. Buying a multifamily, duplex, triplex, or fourplex, you live in one unit and you rent out the others. That rental income can dramatically shift the cost equation and often makes owning more affordable than renting if you manage tenants. Another option to explore for owning a home is another strategy, a creative financing strategy. This is for buyers who struggle with traditional financing. These are a couple of the creative strategies, but they come with a risk. Subject to financing, you take over someone else's mortgage payments without qualifying for a new one. Seller financing or a wrap mortgage. The seller carries the financing with you. These strategies can help you secure a lower rate or avoid rigid lender requirements, but they have legal and financial complexities. Always consult with a real estate professional before using them. There's hidden costs that most people forget about when it comes to home ownership versus renting. These include things like property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance and repairs, HOA fees, utilities that the landlord covers for renters sometimes. In the study conducted by Smart Assets Analysis, it shows when you include that owning can cost nearly twice as much as renting in some cities like New York and Oakland. Taking a look at this analysis done by Smart Assets, a couple of their key findings is it costs twice as much to be a homeowner than a renter in New York, New Jersey. Here it shows homeowners face median cost of $2,600 or almost 2 times as much as a median cost of $1,300 for renters. One of the best things you can do is to start to prepare to buy. If you want to buy but you aren't ready yet, you can build up a down payment. You can aim for at least 20% so you avoid PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. You can improve your credit score, pay down debt to reduce your debt to income ratio. You can get pre-approved so you know what you can afford before you start to look. These steps help you qualify for a better mortgage rate and make buying less stressful. Next, we're looking at a study done by Empower. Here are the top 10 metros where buying is still cheaper. If you look, it's Chicago, Illinois. Monthly mortgage payment is around $1,758, and the median rent is around $2,300. The monthly savings is around $500, and it just keeps going down when you go down the list. Looking at the top 10 metros where renting is cheaper, here it shows the average monthly mortgage payment in San Jose, California is approximately $8,300, and the median rent is around $3,500. That's a monthly savings of roughly $4,700. So in these cities, it makes sense to rent versus to buy. Before I wrap up, I want to leave you with something important, especially for anyone thinking about building long-term stability with home ownership. If owning a home is one of your goals, one of the best things you can do right now is start setting yourself up for it. Not next month, not next year, starting now. Here are a few things you can do to begin focusing on. One of the best things to start with is getting clear on what you can afford. The first real step to buying a home is understanding your financial picture, which includes your income, your expenses, your debt, your credit score, all of it. Once you know your numbers, you know what is on your runway. Most people skip this part and jump straight into looking at listings, but this is what actually determines your timeline. Learn about down payments and PMI. A lot of people think they need 20% down, but they don't. Different loan programs offer different options, and PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, isn't necessarily a bad thing. The key is understanding how down payments and PMI affect your monthly payment and how that fits into your overall plan. Try to understand the home buying process ahead of time. Buying a home involves multiple steps: viewing homes, making offers, inspections, appraisals, escrow, and closing. If you get familiar with the process early, you'll feel a whole lot more confident and far less stressed when it's time to actually start. Think about the type of home that fits your life. Before you start searching, it helps to think of things like what areas fit your lifestyle, what type of home matches your goals, what type of features are a must-have versus nice-to-haves. This gives you direction and helps you avoid wasting time later. Learn how mortgages work. Interest rates, pre-approvals, loan types. It's a lot, but you don't need to memorize anything. Just start with the basics. How loans work, what lenders to look for, and what determines your monthly payment. This knowledge puts you in a much stronger position when it's time to apply. Start preparing early. This is a real key takeaway. You don't have to buy tomorrow, but the earlier you start preparing mentally, financially, and strategically, the smoother the process becomes when the time comes. Even taking small steps now can shorten your timeline dramatically. At the end of the day, there's no universal right answer for both renting and buying. Comes with real pros and cons and real drawbacks. Renting often gives you lower upfront cost, more flexibility to move, fewer responsibilities for repairs and maintenance, lower monthly payments in major cities today. But renting also means your money doesn't build equity and your housing costs can increase over time. Buying gives you long-term stability, the ability to build wealth through equity and appreciation, control over your home like renovations, improvements, ADUs, and there's potential tax savings, but buying requires a down payment, which is higher upfront cost. There's a long-term commitment and ongoing expenses like maintenance, insurance, and property taxes. It's not about which option is better. It's about which option is better for you, your budget, your lifestyle, your job stability, your long-term plans, and your local market. Renting can be a smarter move for flexibility or affordability. Buying can be the smarter move for long-term wealth and stability. Only you can decide what makes sense for your life right now. If you made it this far, thank you. Stay informed, stay prepared, and keep moving towards your goals, whatever they are. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming breakdowns. And I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.